Okay, just for something completely different. Last night I made some stewed apples and pears with my own recipe. I can't tell you the exact ingredients because I just made it up as I was going along, so I just used my intuition, to create it, and I can assure you this is the best apple sauce I've ever made in my life. So I'm going to start using it in different recipes just to demonstrate how it can be used. And then I remembered I had some leftover puff pastry in the freezer, which is what this stuff is here. The thing with puff pastry, it's very unforgiving, right? So I don't really like using it, but I'm going to use it. So what I'm going to do is my father's favourite sweet, which is called apple turnovers. And this is going to be a two-part video. It won't be two videos, it'll just be one video, but I'm going to do it in two parts because I've got all the ingredients to make the apple turnover except the whipped cream which goes in. You have to wait for these to cool down anyway to room temperature before you can put your cream in. So I thought I'll do these tonight, it's night time here now. Let them cool overnight, and in the morning I'll whip up to the shops, grab some whipped cream, come on back and pipe the cream in for completion and show you what they look like when they're finished. So it's pretty straightforward. These are really easy to make. Obviously the hardest thing, or the slowest thing, is doing your apples. I've got apples and pears in there with a bit of cinnamon, a lot of sugar and some water, that's all it is. You chop them up really fine, small and fine, put them in with maybe a couple of tablespoons of water, not a lot of water, into a saucepan, about a quarter of a cup of sugar, maybe a little bit more, and then you just let it slowly boil down and it turns into a puree, and you use your potato masher to squash it all down, or a fork. And then at the end I put in like a half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, some cinnamon sugar, probably about, I don't know, a teaspoon, and about a tablespoon of butter, which I chop up very small, and then just stir it all in. It all melts, and that's what you end up with. Anyway, so you've got to leave this stuff out to thaw a little bit. You don't want it completely thawed, otherwise it's unusable. This is what I'm saying, it's very unforgiving. So I've had this out for about 20 minutes, I guess. It was frozen solid. So this is a egg ring that I use on the barbecue, which is a good size. So all I'm going to do is press this in to create circles. Because an apple turnover, if you're familiar with it, it's sort of a semicircle. Okay. So a lot of wastage. I'm still trying to figure out a way of keeping this to use in something else. Leave it with me. So as I said, just pressing it in. Try not to move it around too much. Because it'll crack. Right. So there you go. We're just going to do these 4 for now. I've got enough obviously there to do a lot more than 4, but I'm going to use this in other things. So I'll just get rid of that. This is just a demo. So next thing we do is we put some of our apple in the centre. You don't need a great deal, to be honest, which is unfortunate because I don't want this to go to waste. So basically like a spoonful, teaspoonful. I might try and squeeze a little bit more in. But to be honest, if you try and squeeze more in, it's just going to all come out the sides and it's going to be ugly. Okay, so that's basically that. That is really good. Just the smell of it makes me hungry. Okay, so now I'm going to do this toward you so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to fold it over like that, I'm just going to poke down the corners, because later, after these are cooked, we're going to pipe whipped cream into there, so we need that pocket opened. Very important. But I squash the sides, corners in, so it doesn't ooze out all over my baking tray. Okay. See, this one's already wanted to squeeze out the side too much. Whatever. So I'll just open that up a little bit. Now the next thing I like to do, I've got some milk in here. Just a little bit of milk. It doesn't matter how much, right? Because we're just going to brush it on. And this is going to help them become golden, you know, and crispy. That's all. So just on the tops like that. And then finally, in here I've got some caster sugar, or in America they call it confectioner's sugar. It's just caster sugar. Now I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top, like that. So you eat these cold normally, you don't really eat them hot, obviously. That's why we've got whipped cream in there. Hang on, I'm just looking for a spatula so I don't destroy them. So here's my baking tray. I did put some butter down on here just because I don't want them to stick. I don't know if it's necessary. This is my biscuit tray. It's had a lot of use, so I'm just worried that the non-stick surface isn't as non-stick as it used to be. So that's basically it. Make sure they're separated and apart because they're going to expand. So now I'm going to put them into a pre-heated oven at about 200 degrees Celsius, right? Very hot, to get them to rise and become really crispy, and we're going to do that for about 20 minutes. So I'll put them in the oven now and I'll come back in 20 minutes. Okay, and welcome back. We've now cooked these. As you can see, they've puffed up and gone brown. A little overdone because I got distracted, but it's okay. And you can see now how the apple has sort of got enough gap in there now to pipe the cream in. I had some leftover pieces, not to form the full circles, but then I remember these Italian, I can't remember the name of them, they're like an Italian sweet, very similar to this, and they pipe cream in both ends. Oh, it nearly came to me. You know, so I've just used up little bits and pieces, so that's basically it. Now I was thinking too, while these were cooking, I used an egg ring. If you don't have that, just use a plate or the bottom of a bowl, something like that, press it in, take it off, and then just cut around it with a knife. Just, you know, whatever you've got in the house, doesn't matter. So I'm going to let these cool overnight. I'm just going to cover them. I'm not going to put them in the fridge. I think, oh, maybe I will actually. I will, because of the cream. Basically that's it. I'll come back tomorrow morning, hopefully, with some cream. We'll go through that and we'll pipe them in. So until then, I got to make sure I don't eat these because they smell so good, and you could easily eat them just like this, I think, but the cream just gives them that extra little oomph. And if you noticed, I've now got a jacket on because it got cold while I was waiting. It's late at night here. Okay, see you tomorrow morning. And hello, we're back. It's the next day. I've Had my bowl in the fridge because we're going to whip up some cream for our apple turnovers. So I'm going to put the whole thing in. Just scoop that out a bit. Don't like wastage. Okay. So basically, when you're going to whip cream, it's obvious, but not to everyone. You've got to use thickened cream. Thickened. You can see that thickened cream. Otherwise, it won't whip. Now, you could whip this cream exactly like this, fresh cream. It's nice. But, as usual, whoops, I like to take it to the next level. So what I'm going to do is add 1 tablespoon of what we in Australia call icing sugar, but everywhere else in the world they call it powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar. It's all the same thing. So 1 of them, and then half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And apparently the official name for this is chantilly cream. However, the original chantilly cream I think asked for 3 tablespoons of sugar and a couple of teaspoons of that, and I would never eat that. So I've developed this quantities to my taste. I'm just going to have to move this over here a bit near the mixer. Now I'm just using a hand mixer today. You could use a stand mixer or even a hand blender. So the advantages of hand mixers these days, you can buy these from Kmart for, I don't know, $20, $25 or something like that. So really it's pretty easy to get one. Okay, to me that tastes perfect. So the next thing I want to do now, oh by the way, once you start seeing gaps forming in the cream, that's when it's done, when it's thickened up. You don't want to over whip it, otherwise it'll turn into butter, literally. So what I'm going to do now is pipe the cream into the turnovers. And a lot of people don't consider piping because they think, oh, it's too tricky, it's too hard, it's too complicated. I want to show you that it's not, right? It's easy peasy. Let's get a spoon out. So you could put this cream in with a spoon and that's fine. It'll taste exactly the same, but it'll look like a 12-year-old at a scout camp cooked it, okay? Honestly. Or we could present it a little bit better. And I think presentation is half the part of cooking something. You go to all the trouble of cooking something, and then if you don't present it properly, it sort of loses a lot of value, I think. So you should be proud of what you make, and to be really proud, you should be proud to present it in the best possible way. Okay, so that's why I go to this little bit of extra trouble. To me it's not trouble, I enjoy it. So what I've got here, again, I bought this from Kmart I think about 27 years ago for a couple of dollars. It's a piping bag. You get about 4,000 of these little different nodules at the end that do different things. Out of the 20 odd that I've got, I think I've used 2 of them. For this, I'm using the one that's just got the biggest, fattest opening because that's what I want. Now, I've got this handy glass cup thing, so I put it in there. I fold it over, like that, and then I spoon it in. So that'll do. So now I turn it back up like that. So now I've got something to hold on to, and I twist it, and hey presto, cream starts coming out the end. Amazing. So I'm squeezing. There you go. There's our first apple turnover. Doesn't that look better? I think it does. And there we have it. Not hard at all. So that completes our apple turnovers. Now, none of these are only little ones compared to what you buy at the shop, but that's what homemade is. Okay, it's not what you buy from the shop, but I can guarantee you they're going to taste a lot better, and you're going to be flat out not eating all these in one hit. Seriously. These are perfect with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, morning tea, invite some friends over for morning tea. Just wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to go now make myself a cup of tea and have one. See you later.